gentlemen, please put your hands together and join me in welcoming somebody whose exceptional work has been witnessed by many of us, not just in Turkey, but overseas as well, not just at IMWF over these years, but at many events where we have collaborated with him. Please give it up for the one and only Murat Ali Aydın. Am I excited to welcome you, Murat?
But you prefer the Pinterest budget. I need to see the client side.
Please do. Okay. As we all know, Murat is the founder at Marche events. Murat, I have to begin by telling you that the most exciting part about our conversation, which I think just happened day before, Fuad just messaged, so he was going to take a solo presentation, and Fuad just messaged that we're thinking of making it a Q&A, and would you want to do it? And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll be happy to. And Murat and me started talking, and the first statement he made to me is, let me tell you something about myself. I come from the world of theater. And that's my connect point with him. So I started my career and I started learning about stage as a theater person. And Murat has the same passion. Yeah. And I thought that was the instant click. And I thought that this is going to be one of the most special segments that I would have ever got to do. So Murat, I want you to take us through a bit of how does the entire expectation game work for you, and how can we make it work in our favor every time we interact with the client?
So this topic is a really wide one, but as a creative director, I'm just talking on my point of view. As you said, being on stage and being in the audience side is really something as solution to understand the client. Because if you mention a wedding, you're a bride and groom on stage, you feel something, and your parents are sitting there. My opinion is first to understand deeply what they want, what kind of a story they want to say. When I come across with some corporate clients or private events, weddings, and each time I'm struggling lots of time to solve this equation. I mean that there are some families, bride, groom, corporate brands, the manager of the brand, each one is an item that has to be solved. Because if you clearly solve that side, this means that you can easily play on the budget, how they understand. If I put on this side, how it impacts them. So this is my initial point when I begin to a project, and sometimes it becomes a show of things, sometimes totally lots of flowers. We all love these sentences, especially in Indian weddings, more flowers. So, but it is a point just in between them. You can easily understand the story of the client, and if you tell them passionately as a feedback, and if they agree that you understood them, something shifting from one point to other point can be much more easier.
Yeah. So how does this work? Do you always necessarily need a trigger point? Do you need the bride and groom to have a story, or would you rather just be given a clean slate and then you're just doing your own sketch?
Yeah, if they come a clear story, it will be much more easier. But sometimes you make them is an active listening, just to make them speech and asking questions, blah, blah, everything, just trying to pick up sometimes what they wear, sometimes how they behave and the relations between them, all give us a clue. Of course, I'm telling as a storyteller. If you pick up these details, if any brief is not still, we don't have, sometimes we can shift them to that brief and come a point. At the end of the conversation, we can meet at a point to begin.
How differently is your approach when you're doing, say, a wedding, when you're designing a wedding, where you have a limited audience or guest list of about 100 guests, versus, as you know, most of the Indian weddings, now from Shravan's speech, we also know it can go up to 50,000. Does the couple cease to exist, and then do you start playing to the larger gamuts of the guests who are there? Does that happen?
Of course. Each creation begins with a function. I mean that everything has to flow properly, good food, good drink, and this is the first cues that we put the project. In the second part, I also give importance to understand the audience, because sometimes when you talk to the client, as a corporate or wedding, they always try to interpret their feelings. But that much of people are just sitting to share something with us. So if we think also on the other side of the stage, it is becoming much more experience-wise. So sometimes if we have chance to see it, it also gives. When we talk about the number more than thousands, I'm just generally concentrate on the experience. Because in that much of people, after 300, you won't see any decoration, you won't see any, any prop on the stage. So experience, good food, good drink, and I'm just trying to directly shift the client to that part.
And I believe you started taking great amount of interest in also seeing how the food display.
Yeah.
Tell us more about it.
This is something because, as I told you, my background is I'm an architect. So something to create unexpected. I mean that if you enter a venue, if the stage is here, 90% of the guests is waiting, something will happen on stage. But if you design something unexpected, for example, when I enter a property, I try to understand the architecture, any statues just standing at one side, any tree just standing there, because they also something without budget. They are still existing there. If you properly use in your design, it becomes something meaningful. I will also show you some videos. For example, I had a client in last year. It was a US citizen and coming from United States. It was a birthday party. When we begin to speech, our speeches, we understand that it's a Bitcoiner. It's a very rich guy. But when we go in deeply, we understand his beginning point, his life is a book, A Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, Douglas Adams' book. And we begin a project in 3 countries. It was a 9-day event, and we just depicted that books in Holland, Turkey, and Montenegro. And in Turkey, in Cappadocia, we had 3 days event, and some part of the book is depicted in Cappadocia. So I want to share that video if you love it. And this was a Zodiac Ball night. It was something exciting. We tried to create experiences. For example, we had a look at all the signs, all the rising signs, and we do the networking with that. Oh, if you come next to each other, you love to each other from the Zodiac. So you will see the video.
Interesting work.
By the way, of course, we are working as a team. Lots of my friends, we also have chance to serve you in IMWF. You're meeting them in the decoration sides of the events. So this was with Hande. He will also be with us in IMWF. So we just created that mood parallel to that book. And so that experience becomes something different. Maybe you see there won't be lots of decoration on tables, but details. And
absolutely. And play of lights. I think that was really interesting.
Yes, Cappadocia is a really stunning venue, and it gives you lots of feelings. So
it is. So how much time did it take you to kind of come up with the concept and then get into the planning and execution for this project?
It's up on the client. But for example, for this project, it was something like 3 months from the beginning on the storytelling side and the drawings, and it takes some 3 months.
You just mentioned about space design. Could you share with us some of the experiences where you have probably just gone into a property and just looked around and decided to...
For example, in Mardan Palace, in last week, we had a wedding, and then we designed a bridal entry.
over the top, just the way we like it in Indian weddings.
Actually, everything was there. I did not do much. I only play the layouts, actually. I'm sure that fireworks is very popular, but just shifting the places of the pyrotechnic, it becomes something in a large scale, and without using big props, you can easily create something. It was last week even.
Okay, yes, I believe. I think it was a big family, I think of 600 guests who had come over for it. Good, so that's like a big pro that you play with. Tell me something where you've gone out of the box, a little bit of discomfort that can bring to some guests while it may seem sexy to some. So how exactly do you manage to do that? Because tonight's theme as well, you have warned everyone, beware of the underwear, and everyone's wondering what that's up. So either tell us about what's happening tonight or tell us about any such instance.
Yeah, it's related much experience actually. So when we come across with the client, and we can easily evaluate the level of it, the balance of it. And I also had a video I will project here. In a few years ago in IMWF, again in another property, we did that kind of event. If you want, I can also show it.
Yeah, I think so.
Can
We're
you
all
open the
adults
18
here,
plus video?
I think we can manage and handle that. Interesting. Tell me, Murat, how does this work with you? You showed us one piece of work, which was your Cappadocia project, where the focus was more on the content, the story, the thought. Then you showed us something which you did last week, where the client was very clear, hey, I have a lot of money, let's spend it together. Tell me any such instance when it has happened that a client may have told you and been frank enough to tell you that there is nothing much that I really want to spend as far as entertainment design goes, but I want to take my guests to a great location, and now it's up to you to make the most out of the least amount. Have you dealt with that kind of situation?
Yeah, of course, at that point, it is becoming to solve a budget. I'm first trying to understand the picture, and by using the existing infrastructures, I mean that any architectural, entertainment, whatever, and all the items in our industry, if you understand the infrastructure by easily changing something on top of it, it's becoming something unseen or unexpected again. I called it strategic design, especially when we talk to wedding designers, event designers, and strategic design is an important point. If you create something, especially the infrastructure, in a proper way, and if you think how you will change it, or in the next levels it can become like this, and if you think all the plan A, B, C, D, and blah, it is becoming decreasing the budget actually, and just adding some slight things on top of it, and the client satisfied. I also prepared a video for it. It's an entertainment video. In 12 years ago, I designed a soprano, and I worked on a soprano. And in 12 years, I want to show you how it changed, and how by changing that outer facade, how it become. If you want also, I think
that will be great, because I think no matter how many big budget weddings we do, we always have these amazing clients whom we connect with, whom we relate to, and we don't want to shy away to go out of our way to do something that's going to comfort them in their budget. So I think it'll be a great example for us to see.
Yeah, can you show that video?
Murat, you've actually opened up our mind. That's the same artist given
Yeah.
different looks.
She's my friend, and we are always joking. In this time, what, how you play with me? Because just this construction costume, and it has some different meaning if you depict that. But this is, and also I have a surprise in IMWF. You will see it.
Oh, I'm waiting for that. Before I open the forum for questions, I'm sure that it'll be interesting to have a two-way conversation and have you guys also participate. Maybe some thoughts that you have or some questions you have. Please feel free to just raise your hand and we'll have a mic brought across to you. So, Murat, I have a question. How many people end up working as a part of your team when it comes to all of this, costume designing, lighting? So do you have all of this as part of Marche events? Do you prefer to collaborate with people as you travel? How does it work?
Actually, as a business strategy, I do not prefer to work with residential teams. This because in each project I need a different talent. Each project had a different costume designer, an event designer, a different decoration company, AV company, because I'm a production designer actually. And okay, I have a budget, and within this budget, I have easily shipped everything. And the talent differs. When you mention about the creative, so residential teams, in a few years later, it's becoming something copy-paste things. But
Yeah,
in
so
this
true.
way, I have chance to change. Also, I enrich myself with different attitudes, with different way of creations. So I prefer to with freelance teams. I have lots of friends working for our company, more than 16 years, 20 years. It's upon the brief of the project.
This is
I
amazing.
easily change the team.
And that's